Until now, we've already discussed about the Beinoni. We know a little bit about who the Beinoni is. We understand now that this is really the ultimate goal for every one of us. Every one of us should try to achieve to become a Beinoni as well. We understand the Beinoni is not a tzaddik. He's not someone that has complete control over his desires and urges. But at the same time, he's not a Rasha either. He's not righteous and he's not wicked because he doesn't cross the line. He never goes past the boundaries. He never crosses the borders and becomes a Rasha by doing things that he's not supposed to do. Now we're going to start focusing on how to actually be a Beinoni in practice. What is the actual service, the actual avoda, the actual life of a Beinoni? And in this chapter, we're going to introduce that Beinoni actually has two levels within that category as well. There are two types of Beinoni. So let's get started. We're going to start with a quote from the book of Malachi, which I believe in English is pronounced Malachi. The book of Malachi is the last of the prophets. It says as follows: "You will return and see the difference between the tzaddik and Rasha, between someone who serves God and someone who does not serve him." This is a quote from Malachi. What does this mean? You will see the difference between a tzaddik and a Rasha, someone who serves God and someone who does not serve him. Seems to be a duplicate language. We're saying the same thing twice. Tzaddik, Rasha, serves God, doesn't serve God. That's the same thing. Why are we repeating ourselves? Why are we mentioning it again, going through it again? And so the Tanya explains, the Alter Rabbi explains, and in fact, it's not repeating itself. It's not talking about, we're not saying someone who serves God is a tzaddik and someone who does not serve God is a Rasha. No, we're actually talking about a whole nother category. There is a tzaddik, there is a Rasha, and then there's someone who serves God. Who is this someone who serves God? This is the Beinoni. This is this guy who we keep talking about and keep focusing on, the Beinoni. He is called someone who serves God because he is actively in the process of serving God. He is constantly working on himself. It's a challenge that he's dealing with. The tzaddik is not actively serving God. The tzaddik is a servant of God. He's done. He's completed his challenges. He's completed his missions. Now he's trying to be the best tzaddik he can be, but it's not a challenge in the same way. He doesn't have to break himself. He doesn't have to fight himself. He doesn't have any battle going on within him. He just does his thing. He's a tzaddik. That is someone who is a servant of God. On the other hand, the Beinoni hasn't yet reached that category of a servant of God. He is right now serving God. He is working on himself. He's battling himself. He is right now in the trenches going through the war. That is the Beinoni. He is someone who is serving God. Think for a moment about a student, a child who is learning how to play the piano. So when you're learning to play the piano, you constantly have to practice. You work on your chords. You keep reminding yourself the proper place to put your fingers on the keyboard. And you have to keep reminding yourself about how to play the chords properly. And you make mistakes and you fix it and you work on yourself. And you practice and you practice. Because he's in the process of learning. He is working on it. He is in the process of becoming a future master of piano. But right now he's no master. Right now he's a student. He's working on it. But one day, he becomes a maestro. He's no longer a student. He grows up. Now this is not a challenge anymore. He doesn't have to work on his chords anymore. It's automatic. He knows what to do. It's just it just goes. It flows. It's who he is right now. Because now he's a master piano player. Now he's no longer practicing. He's no longer in the process of learning. And so the Beinoni is someone who's in that process. The Beinoni is someone who's working on himself. He is serving God. He is working hard and challenging himself, trying to bring himself to that place where he can finally serve God without the challenge. But for right now, he's challenging himself. He's working on himself and getting better and better every day. A child needs to constantly be taught and reminded about things that are appropriate and things that are not appropriate. You have to teach a child what is appropriate to eat and what is not appropriate to eat. Some things are food and some things you should not be consuming. Doesn't belong in your mouth, right? We constantly tell our children, don't put that in your mouth. But the child grows up, he becomes an adult. You don't have to, hopefully, you don't have to keep reminding the adult not to put that in your mouth. An adult should know that's not appropriate. You grow up, you know certain things, you know how to live your life as a mensch, as a person. It's not a challenge anymore to keep doing these things that was a challenge as a child. Because an adult understands it's harmful, he would never do such a thing. The same thing, the tzaddik in this case is the adult. The tzaddik reaches a point where it's not a challenge for him not to do the wrong thing. Because he knows it's not a good idea. He knows it's going to be bad for him. He has no desire to do something that's wrong. I have no interest in putting poison into my mouth as an adult, right? A child may be interested, may want to try it. An adult knows he doesn't want to try it. The Beinoni has to challenge himself, has to remind himself not to take that poison. But the tzaddik, it's not a challenge. There's no mission. There's no convincing himself out of eating the poison because he knows he doesn't want it. He has no desire to get mixed into such a thing. Now, this is not to say that a tzaddik cannot possibly sin. A tzaddik is not, although we say that tzaddik is perfect and all that, he's not an angel. He's a human being. And everybody has the possibility of sinning. But if the tzaddik does a sin, it's not willfully. The tzaddik doesn't choose to do a sin. The tzaddik, something can happen where he can make a mistake. We're all human. Humans can make a mistake. But, as an adult, you can mistakenly eat poison, right? You can think it's something else and eat it or something like that. But you're not going to choose to eat the poison. The tzaddik can make a mistake, but he won't choose to eat the poison. He won't choose willfully to do something that is wrong. But at the same time, he also has protection from God. He has an instinct. He has an intuition that something is fishy. He has an intuition to protect him even from the mistakes, as we do as well. Sometimes you don't know for sure it's poison, but it doesn't smell right. Something doesn't seem okay here. You protect yourself. You say, I'm not going to try that because I don't know. I feel like there's something wrong here. I'm going to stay away from it. And the tzaddik has that instinct as well. He has that ability to keep himself away from doing something that is crossing the line, something that he shouldn't be doing. It says about Rabbi Yitzchak Meir of Gur, he was a great Hasidic Rabbi, that if there ever was a question about a piece of meat, he didn't touch it, he didn't eat it. Even though it was ruled kosher by all the rabbis. But since it was questionable for some reason, he didn't touch it. There was once, he was at a meal. The cook prepared a beautiful meal, and Rabbi Yitzchak Meir is sitting at the meal, and they serve the food, and he's not touching the food. He's not eating the meat. And everyone's wondering, why is the Rebbe not eating the meat? And so they realized something must be wrong over here. They went to the cook, and they started asking questions. And she said, yeah, there was a question, something came up, but we got it resolved. He smelled something wrong. He smelled that there was something inappropriate here. He didn't want to go near it. He didn't want to touch it. There is another famous story about a chassid, not a tzaddik, probably a Beinoni, a chassid by the name of Shmuel Munkes. Shmuel Munkes is a very famous Chabad chassid. He was a chassid of the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, and he was a very smart and learned person, but he was also known to be a bit of a jokester. Now, his joking wasn't in a way of being a clown, but he had a very sharp way about him where he was able to bring out a message with a little bit of humor, a little bit of, a little bit of wit. Many stories about Rabbi Shmuel Munkes, but this one is not even a humorous one. It's a story about Rabbi Shmuel Munkes. He was once at a Hasidic gathering, a Hasidic Farbrengen, where, the Hasidim were sitting around and they were talking and discussing different subjects, and there was food and drink, and somebody sent over a tray of meat, good meat, to the Farbrengen. Shmuel Munkes had the tray of meat, and he comes in with this tray of meat, and everybody is jumping for the meat. It's good meat. This is, in Russia, I don't know how often they had this meat. And the meat comes in, everybody's trying to get some, and he realizes that it's, everyone's excited for the meat, so he starts to play around a little bit, and he holds it high, he doesn't let anybody get it. And everyone's jumping and trying to get the meat, and he's holding it back. And as everyone's trying to jump and grab the meat, the whole tray tips over, the meat falls all over the floor, and it all gets destroyed. There's no meat. Everyone was so excited to have this meat, and now it's all gone. Okay. They decide that Shmuel Munkes needs to get a bit of a beating. He just ruined everyone's supper. So they took him and they gave him a little bit of a beating for, ruining the meat, for destroying the food. And just as they finished giving him the beating, the butcher comes running into the Farbrengen and he says, stop, 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 don't eat the meat, don't eat the meat. What happened? I just realized there was a problem with the meat. There was 2 trays of meat. I had a kosher meat, not kosher meat. And by mistake, the 2 trays got mixed up. The meat that I sent to the Farbrengen was not kosher. Nobody ate it because it all fell on the floor. Because Shmuel Munkis was playing games, not letting anybody eat the meat. It all fell on the floor. So, interestingly enough, they don't thank Shmuel Munkis. Instead, they come to him and they say, "What's going on over here? You're using holy ideas. How did you know that there was something wrong with the meat? Obviously, you have Ruach HaKodesh. You have a divine spirit that you're getting this information. You knew that there was something wrong here, but you're not a Rebbe. What right do you have to use the divine spirit? That's something for a Rebbe, not for a Chassid, not for a regular person. You're regular like us." So they wanted to give him another beating. You're acting like a Rebbe. You're acting holy. So Shmuel Munkis explained, "I'm no Rebbe. There was no Ruach HaKodesh. There was no Holy Spirit. It was very simple. I saw the way there was a desire, the way people were jumping for this meat. I realized there's something wrong. There's something wrong with this meat that people had such a strong desire. People wanted it too much. There was something wrong here. There was something pulling in the wrong direction. I felt that there's something wrong here, and therefore I had to make sure nobody ate that meat." So these are just a couple of stories that show how we can get a intuition, we can get a feeling to know that something is wrong. But getting back to our chapter of Tanya here, we're saying again, there's 4 categories in the pasuk, in the verse of Malachi. We say there's a tzaddik, there's a rasha. We all know what that means. We know who the tzaddik is. We know who the rasha is. There is someone who serves God, which we explained is the Beinoni, who is actively working on himself, who is working on his service of God. And then there's a 4th category, someone who doesn't serve him. Who's the guy who doesn't serve God? Who is this about? Who's this category number 4? What kind of guy is this who doesn't serve God? He's not the rasha. We said the rasha's we already counted him. So who is this 4th category? And so the Tanya explains that this category number 4, who does not serve God, he's also a Beinoni. He is another category of Beinoni. There is a Beinoni who serves God and a Beinoni who does not serve God. How could it be? He's a Beinoni. Beinoni, we said, is someone who does everything right. He studies Torah, he prays, he does good deeds, he does the mitzvot, he never sins, never says the wrong thing, never thinks the wrong thing. He's perfect. And we're saying that he doesn't serve God? Who is this guy? But the Alter Rebbe explains, why do we say this guy, this Beinoni, does not serve God? Because there's no battle. There's no conflict. He has no urge. He has no desire to do the wrong thing. He's simply, by nature, his personality is pushing him in a certain direction. He's an intellectual. He loves to sit and study. He's a bookworm. He doesn't want to go do other things. He wants to sit and study Torah because he enjoys it. It's so pleasurable to jump into the intellect of the Torah. Is he doing anything wrong? No, he's a Beinoni. He's doing everything right. But is there any battle? Is there any conflict? Is there any challenge in his life? No. He's doing it because he wants to. That's why he's doing everything correct. I do not like mint. I don't enjoy mint. I don't like mint ice cream. If you come to me with a delicious mint ice cream, I have no desire to eat that ice cream. I don't want it. Does that mean that I'm subduing my impulses? Does that mean I'm having iskafia, I'm holding myself back, and I'm challenging myself to not eat that ice cream? No, I don't want it. I simply don't like it. I'm not interested. It's not a challenge for me to not eat the ice cream that I don't enjoy, because I don't like the taste of it. This man, this Beinoni, he's not challenging himself to serve God, because that's all he wants to do. He doesn't want to do anything else. He has no drive pulling him in any other direction. He's serving God because that's what he enjoys doing. Think about other desires, right? Think about people that have, someone who's an asexual. He has no interest in getting involved in lust and he just no interest. He has no passion for it. You're not going to say, "Wow, this guy's so amazing that he's not falling." He's not falling for this challenge because it's not a challenge for him. He doesn't want to. It's not something he wants to do. So this guy's perfect. He does everything right, but he's not working on himself. There's nothing pulling him. There's no challenge. There's no battle. He doesn't have to overpower his lust. He doesn't have to bring up the fear of God, the love of God. It's just natural. It's just who he is in his nature. But yet, he does have this natural, inborn, hidden love that we mentioned previously. That is there. And that helps him channel the intellect towards Torah study as opposed to studying other philosophies. He is, yes, he's doing the right thing. He's studying Torah and he's involved in all the right things. Nothing wrong with him. We're not saying he's a bad guy. He's a Beinoni, but he's not challenged. And so he's not someone who's actively serving God. There's a story about somebody who once came to a great rabbi. He wanted to become a rabbi. He wanted to get what's called smicha, rabbinic ordination. He wanted to, the rabbi tests you and he asks you all kinds of questions to make sure you know your information. And he also judges your character. He judges you as a person, and he decides if you are appropriate to be considered a rabbi. So this man came to get tested for the rabbinics, to be tested as a rabbi, and the rabbi tested him, and he knew his information inside out, backwards. He had a perfect grasp of all the information. He was doing top marks. The guy knew everything. But the rabbi sensed that there's a problem here. It's intellectual exercise for him that he enjoys doing. He knows everything because he enjoys the knowledge. And the rabbi said that if I don't make this guy a rabbi right now, what could happen to this guy is he'll end up becoming a priest. Because the knowledge that he has is not driving him. He doesn't have a drive to learn more Torah and study more and become a better person. He simply has a drive for the knowledge, for the interest, for the intellectual side of it. It could lead him in either direction. He can go right or left. There's nothing holding him back. There's nothing connecting him necessarily to the rabbinics or even to Judaism. It's simply the intellectual ideas that are grabbing him, and he can easily be pulled to the other direction as well. So this is the guy we're talking about. He has the perfect life of a Beinoni without any effort on his part. Simply there. Or you could have another guy in this category. Someone who is not naturally, automatically with this characteristic. Maybe he's not somebody who always wants to study Torah all day. Maybe he does have desires and passions in this world. But what happened was he went and he challenged himself. He did the hard work and he pushed himself and he trained himself and he created a second nature. He did something for so long. He pushed himself for so long that through his hard work, he changed his nature. And now, although as a child he was not an intellectual, he enjoyed running around and playing, but he pushed himself and he turned himself into an intellectual. He changed himself to become someone who this becomes his second nature, to the point that he can't function any other way. He has no interest anymore. Although he had an interest in doing other things, he no longer has that interest. Now he wants to sit and study Torah all day. That is all he knows now. Nothing else is meaningful to him anymore. This is all he knows in his life. So once again, although it was not his natural instinct, it is today. It became his second nature. And again, he's not challenging himself anymore. Take the example of a very large, heavy stone. Big stone. And it's sitting on the ground. The stone is not moving. It's staying in one place. There's no challenge, right? There's nothing pushing. It's just sitting there. It's fine. Now to take that stone and carry it up the steps to the roof of the building on the third floor. That's a big challenge. It's going to be a lot of hard work to bring it up all those steps and get it up to the roof. But you work really, really hard. and you push yourself and you work on yourself and you push and you pull and you spend years and years slowly lifting that stone one step at a time, one step at a time. You go up the first flight, the second flight, the third flight, you get it up to the roof. The stone is finally up on the roof and you put it down on the roof. Now it's not in its natural place anymore. It's not on the floor anymore. It's now sitting on the roof of the building. But is there any challenge right now in keeping it on the roof of the building? There's no challenge. It's sitting there. Just like it was sitting before on the floor, now it's sitting on the third floor, on the roof. Again, you went through the challenges. You did the hard work. But now you once again reached a plateau. You reached a place where there's no longer any work. So although you did put in the work all that time, today there's no work involved. Today you're at a place where it's just easy sailing. And so here again, this guy is again a Beinoni who is not challenged, a Beinoni who is not actively serving God, because although he has done it, today there is no service. Today he's just living it. He's just going with the flow because this is just what he knows. It's what he does. Because if you aren't climbing, if you don't keep going up, then you reach stagnation. You reach that point where you flatline. And now he's called a Beinoni who was not serving God. He's a Beinoni because he's doing everything right, like we said. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not breaking any laws. He's doing everything exactly as he needs to. He's not doing, saying, thinking anything out of line. He's perfect. But he's not working on himself. He's not pushing himself to new heights. He's stuck at one level, at one place. That's a Beinoni who is no longer serving God, no longer the active service of God. So what does he do? What do? You reach this point in life. You get to this point, you simply, it's your nature. What do you want from me? I enjoy learning. It's my problem that I enjoy learning. What should I do now? There's a story of the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Chabad Rebbe, that somebody once came to him with a problem. He says, Rebbe, I have a big problem. What's the problem? The problem is I don't enjoy learning. It's hard for me. I don't enjoy learning Torah. What should I do? It's a big problem I have. So the Rebbe turns to him. He says, you know what? I also have a big problem. I have a very big problem. My problem is I enjoy learning. What should I do? I enjoy learning. It's not a challenge for me because I enjoy it. In other words, you're looking at it as a problem that you're challenged. That's the whole point. The challenge is the good thing. You should have the challenge. You should want the challenge. You should want to work hard on yourself and push yourself to learn Torah, because that is the ultimate, not to do it because it's second nature, but to do it because that's what you enjoy. Amongst religious Jews, there are generally two categories of people. They're known as FFB and BT. What's the difference between FFB and a BT? FFB stands for from birth. Someone who was born to a religious family, they lived their whole life as religious. It's just what they thought. Myself, right? I'm an FFB. I was born in a religious family. It's all I've ever known. I've never lived a different life. I didn't choose this lifestyle. I was born into it. Of course, every person has a choice in life. Everyone has free choice to continue in this path or choose your own path. But I was born into this reality. The second category is a BT. A BT stands for Baal Tshuva. Someone who grew up or lived a different life, and they made the hard choice, the hard decision, that they want to live a life of Torah. They want to live a life of Judaism, a life connected with God, a religious life. The BT, the Baal Tshuva, is on such a high level compared to the other person, the FFB, the from birth. I never had a challenge where, of course, like we said, everyone has the option of choosing different, and there are people who do. There are people who leave the path they grew up on. But for me, the easy thing almost was to just continue my life. Continue living this life of religion, life of connection to God, not abandon it and keep going the way I'm going. But someone who changed themselves, someone who challenged themselves and broke the mold and went out of their usual track, the track that they know is the life that they know, and to change the way they live their life, that's something special. That's something that's deserving of respect. Someone who's willing to do that. Even more, someone who converts, right? A convert who chose to become part of the Jewish nation. That's the greatest thing. Somebody to make that decision to come and do that is something that I could never come close to that. And so we have to keep challenging ourselves and pushing ourselves to something to a new level. So what happens to this guy who simply is not challenged? The guy is living the life that he wants to live. He wants to study Torah. He wants to do good things. It's what he enjoys. This is my life. This is what I like to do. What do you want? What should I do? What does this guy do now? How does he challenge himself and go to a higher level? So the answer is he has to find ways to push his boundaries. He has to find ways. I naturally want to go this far. Go a little further. Push yourself further than that. You want to study Torah? Great. You like to study every day till midnight? Push yourself and study past midnight. Push yourself a little further. Study a little more, even more than you want to study. Go even further. Push yourself, push the envelope a little further than you're willing to go on your own. The Talmud says that someone who serves God is someone who reviews his learning 101 times. Someone who does not serve God is someone who only reviews his learning 100 times. What does this mean? In the olden days, the oral Torah was all oral. It wasn't written down. It was not recorded. There was no books. There was no Sfarim. Everything was committed to memory. They had to memorize all their Torah learning. And so every time they studied something, they reviewed it in their heads. They reviewed it 100 times until it was so crystal clear in their minds. So the norm, the regular thing everybody did was study it 100 times. If you study it 100 times, you're not doing anything special. You're doing what everybody does. You're doing the regular, the normal. That's normal, studying it 100 times. But to go and study it 101 times, push yourself further, cross the line, do more than everybody does, more than the regular, that's special. To go beyond, that is what makes you special. That's what makes you someone who serves God, not just someone who is a robot doing as they do, following as their normal instincts. The Talmud talks about a donkey driver. They had in the marketplace, people would go shopping in the marketplace, and they had these donkey drivers that would help them transport their goods that they bought to bring it home. To hire a donkey driver, it cost one dinar, and the donkey would take you up to 10 parseges, which is an ancient Persian measure, about 3.5 miles. That was the going rate. You want to go up to 10 parseges, will take you basically about 35 miles. They'll take you about 35 miles for one dinar. You want to go one more? You want to go 11 parseges? You need to go a little further? That's going to cost you 2 dinar. What do you mean? You're taking me all this distance. You're taking me 10 parseges for 1 dinar. To go one more, I have to pay 2 dinar? Why does the price double? That seems unfair. But that was the way the market worked, because the normal thing was we don't go past 10. Our limits are 10 parsecs. That's how far we go. You want me to break the norm? You want me to go beyond the normal distance that we travel? That's going to double the price. You have to pay a whole nother dinar just to go a little bit extra, a little bit more. Because to go beyond normal, that's already a whole new boundary, a whole new level. Because a little bit over the line is disproportionately greater. And so by reviewing the Torah one more time, after studying the Torah 100 times, you go and you studied it one more time, now you broke yourself. Now you became a person who is actually challenging himself, and he's pushing himself in the service and the divine service of God. Routine is the Achilles heel in serving God. We don't want routine. We don't want to be robots. We have to keep moving, keep growing, keep pushing ourselves, keep going to the next level. Never sit back and say, I'm happy where I am. Look at what I've achieved. Look what I've done. No, keep going. It says about Pinchas. Pinchas was the grandson of Aaron. And he was the Kohen Gadol. He was the high priest after Aaron's son, Elazar, passed away. It says about Pinchas, it's written in Divrei Yomim, in the book of Chronicles, it says that Pinchas, the Lord was with him. But the way it says it, the Lord was with him, is in the past tense. What does it mean the Lord was with him? That means he no longer is. Now, Pinchas was a great man. Pinchas, till the end of his life, was a great man. Why would the book of Chronicles write it in the past tense, that Pinchas, the Lord, was with him in the past? The answer is, Pinchas was great his whole life. He never sinned. He didn't do anything wrong. But Pinchas plateaued. He reached a point where he was no longer climbing. Life was good. He was doing everything great. He was living a good life. He was performing everything he's got to do. He was no longer pushing himself. If you're no longer pushing yourself, you've reached that point where you are no longer considered someone who is serving God actively. You can ask any gym rat. Not me. I've never worked out. But anyone who works out will tell you, you can't keep the same routine. You can't just get yourself into one workout routine and do the same routine every single day. It doesn't work. Because very soon you're gonna stop pushing yourself. You just do the same thing every day. There's nothing new. You're not growing. You're doing the same thing. You become automatic. You have to keep changing up your routine. That's why they come up with a schedule. They switch from these muscles to those muscles. They're constantly moving and doing different things, or growing and doing more. They're taking on more weight, doing more push-ups, whatever it is they do. They're doing more and more because you can't keep doing the same thing or you're not achieving anything. There comes a point where your 10 push-ups are not accomplishing anything. You have to keep growing and keep doing. And if you're able to lift 50 pounds, now you have to lift 60 pounds. It's not enough to keep lifting 50 pounds because it's no longer a challenge. It's not going to grow your muscles anymore. But why is this so important? What's so meaningful? What's so important about pushing ourselves, about getting out of that plateau, about getting ourselves further? And why is this so great for someone who does it? Because in order to make this change, in order to actually push yourself and change yourself from your natural state that you're in, whether it's natural inborn or natural, something that you've gained on your own as second nature, how do you get yourself out of that? Through awakening a love of God. By awakening, arousing within yourself a love of God, that is what's going to push yourself to take on the challenge and go a little further. Which is, as we spoke about previously, contemplating, going through the steps of contemplating the greatness of God, thinking about Hashem, and arousing this great love for Hashem within us, and this will drive us, this will push us to go further. And this is the perfect service of the Beinoni. This is the way, the life the Beinoni is supposed to lead. He's supposed to push himself until it stops hurting. Push himself until he reaches that plateau. And then, when he does, push himself again. Go further. As soon as you plateau, as soon as you reach that point of routine, don't stop. Now you have to do more. Now you have to change your routine and go further. You have to add more weights to your lifting and go a little further, because you can't stop. You can't let life just slide. You have to push yourself and go to the next level. And this is the way a Beinoni is supposed to live his entire life. As soon as he reaches somewhere, he immediately goes to the next level. Immediately starts contemplating the greatness of God and thinking about how I'm going to go and do something more, push myself to an even greater level. Never let yourself just live. Never sit back, never be satisfied. Or, the Alter Rebbe finishes off, there is an alternative. Someone who is not able, who's not ready to do this challenge, to push himself to this extent, to arouse, to start contemplating and arouse another great love, to enable to push himself even further, there is a fallback plan. There is an option B. And that is, we spoke about previously, he has deep within him a hidden love. We all have within us this hidden love of God. To dig out that hidden love and reveal it. Reveal the love of God. Bring it up to the forefront. Arouse it in his heart. Bring it up to the forefront of his heart. And once again, start the battle of battling his conscience, battling his desires, battling his deep-seated desires of living a different life. This is not the same as the first option. This is not as good as the first option. It's not the perfect vanity, but at least it's not stagnation. At least he's not letting himself just sit back and live as he is, because stagnation is dangerous. We have to keep moving. And if he doesn't even do this, he doesn't do anything to bring about a battle, to bring about any sort of challenge for himself, that he just lives his life. This is the Beinoni, who's considered someone who does not serve God. He is not serving God. He's doing everything right, but he's not serving God. And this is the message of this chapter of Tanya. The message is that we have to keep up the battle. The battle can't end. We can't go into a flow. We have to keep pushing ourselves. Never let yourself fall into a routine. Rather, keep finding new ways to challenge yourself, to battle yourself, to bring yourself to a higher level, to keep the fight going, to make sure that you never fall into this idea that everything is good, life is good, but rather to keep the battle going until the point that we can bring ourselves to new heights and keep growing and keep living the life that we have to get to. And that is chapter 15 of the Tanya. Any questions, thoughts, or comments?
Yeah. So the Beinoni can shift constantly between serving and not serving. Is that the idea, that I could, for a period, struggle and climb, and then I can plateau? And while I'm struggling and climbing, I'm serving. And when I let myself stop and hit a plateau, then I'm shift into that different mode of a Beinoni. Is that what this
Absolutely.
is?
That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah. And the goal is to never fall into that plateau, to make sure that to keep the momentum going. But if you ever do, you can always just pull yourself back out of it. Absolutely. That's exactly what we're saying.
Okay.
And he
Thank
stays
you.
a Beinoni all that time. But
Got it.
the question is
Yeah.
what type of Beinoni?
But now the question is, in like psychology,
Mhm.
the plateau is a healthy place sometimes.
Right. But not in Torah.
Ah, okay.
In Torah, we're meant to keep growing. We're not meant to be robots, to have routine. We're meant to keep growing. That's the challenge of life. It's meant to be a challenge. We're meant to keep pushing ourselves, because the example is given of a mountain climber, right? Someone who's scaling a large mountain, or even someone who's climbing, rock climbing or anything like that. You have to keep the momentum going. You have to keep growing up, because if you ever stop, you say, "Well, I'm not going, but I'm not falling." But no, you are falling, because if you're not moving, you start falling back. There's no such thing as just staying in one place. And
But
so we
okay,
have to keep
so
pushing ourselves, to keep moving, keep that momentum going, never let ourselves fall back.
but if you're mountain climbing, you do have to sleep sometimes, right?
We're not talking about at a resting spot. We're not talking about at a camp. We're talking about where you're on the wall, right?
Ah, okay. All right. There you go. Got it. Resting is okay, but not for too long.
Exactly, exactly. You can rest. See, the question is, what's the purpose of the rest? Are you resting so you can keep going, or you're resting because you wanna pull yourself back? That's a difference.
Hmm, got it. Thank you.
Sure. There's a concept in Torah of Yerida Tzorich Aliyah, that sometimes you go down in order to go up. Think about the example of if you want to jump up high, the only way to really jump is to first bend your knees down. So you have to go down in order to go up. If you try to just jump without going down, you're not going to get very high up. So in life, sometimes we have to take a step back in order to take two steps forward. So that's not considered going down. It's not called going back, because your purpose is only for moving forward. yeah, it involves, in the interim, it means you're going backwards, but you're going backwards for the purpose of moving forward. And that's not considered a going back. That's not considered resting. That's considered preparation for the next step. And that would be the
Ah,
difference.
okay.
Okay.
So it's holding the context of the rest.
Exactly. Exactly.
That the purpose of the rest is so you could keep going, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And that includes taking moments to listen,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
to make sure you're going in the right
Make
direction.
sure, right, to take stock and make sure you're heading in the right direction. Right. If you're if you're trying to get somewhere and you're just I'm gonna keep going, I'm not gonna stop to ask for directions because I want to make sure I keep going, you might be going in the wrong direction, right? It's not always the best idea to make sure you just keep going because you might end up even further than where you started. It's good once in a while to stop and look at the map and make sure you're heading in the right direction to make sure you're still, you don't have to change your route a little bit
But
because, yeah,
in your mind, you're still working on the path, right?
exactly.
Because I'm looking at the map to see if I'm going the right way.
Right. I'm
So,
stopping not to stop. I'm stopping to make sure I'm heading in the right direction. Exactly. Yeah.
got it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
So, Rabbi,
Yes.
until now I was getting tired of the Benoni.
And now?
Very tired. Um, this lesson made me very appreciative and happy.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I realized that there's some character traits that I have that I am not happy about. I find myself being, critical of other people, and I'm not happy. And I'm saying, why do I have this character trait? Which makes me very unhappy.
Mhm.
So I realize, okay, this is the challenge, Ah, this is the
Exactly.
challenge. I'm human.
Exactly. So, see, here's the thing, Pro. You might say, you know what? I'm not a vanity. I'm not on that level. So why do I have to keep focusing on him, right? Let's move on and talk about things that are more practical for me. But the truth is, even if we're not abandoning it yet, we all have aspects because, like you said, we're all human, and so these human ideas that we're talking about in the Beinoni apply to us as well. We're just as human as the Beinoni, even if we don't act like the Beinoni, which we have to keep trying. But we also can learn about ourselves by learning about the Beinoni, and we can find ourselves within the Beinoni and find the same challenges that he has, and work on ourselves the same way. And hopefully, one day we'll reach a Beinoni. It's a goal that we have to set. But at the same time, we can also learn how to live our lives today. Absolutely.
I don't think I'm less than a Benoni.
Well,
Personally, I don't think so. I'm
okay,
working
so
on it. I'm working on it.
good. That's the point. That's exactly the point. Life has to keep. We have to keep working. That's the main point. Wherever we get, we'll get where we get. But we have to keep working. Don't fall back. And as we said in the first chapter, definitely never say, I'm a lost case. Write me off. I'm a Russia. That's not what it means in the Pirkei Avot. It's not telling us to say that I'm a Russia. It's not telling us to say that I'm never going to be anything, never going to accomplish anything. No, we got to do our best, be the best that we can be, and that is our goal in life.